worship the King, all glorious above, and gratefully
Everybody,
sing.
welcome to this week's edition of 5 Minute Worship Prep. Today, I want to tell you a weird story, if that's okay. I was in the shower this morning, and don't worry, that's as weird as it gets. But I was reading the shampoo bottle. Anybody ever do that? Actually, I think it was conditioner. I was putting conditioner on my hair, and I read the bottle, and it said sun-ripened strawberry was the flavor. I guess the scent. I guess it wouldn't be flavor. You wouldn't taste your conditioner. And that got me to thinking, so it couldn't just say strawberry. It had to say sun-ripened strawberry. And I got to thinking about Christmas season and, shopping and all of that. And, man, we are marketed to so much and so aggressively in our culture. I mean, people that do marketing for a living are really good at their job, and that's no surprise. They get paid a lot of money and they're good at their jobs. They're trying to sell stuff. And I have no problem with anyone wanting to sell me something, and that's okay. It's their job. But we need to be aware of that. But as I thought about that, I thought, how do you talk about God? How do you talk about an omnipotent, awesome, wonderful Savior, Creator God, to people who hear superlatives all the time? Nothing is just shampoo. It's sun-ripened strawberry shampoo. Or, it's not just toilet paper. It's the softest toilet paper imaginable. It's like a cloud. Everything that I just challenge you when you go into the store and you read, especially the grocery store, and you read on the labels, everything is a superlative. Everything is selling the product. And how do we talk about God in this culture, in our culture? How do we tell people about our God without sounding sometimes like a salesman? And especially when it comes to worship music, I was thinking about this. And we're singing a song tomorrow morning called "Oh, Worship the King." It's an old hymn. It's a great old hymn. I love it. And it says this: "Oh, worship the King, all glorious above, and gratefully sing his wonderful love. Our shield and defender, the Ancient of Days, pavilioned in splendor and girded with praise." That's just overflowing with imagery and superlatives about who our God is. And he's all those things and so much more. But how do we sing about that in the context of such a jaded, marketed to culture? It's hard. It's a hard one to think about. But I have a couple of things that I think will help us. And I think one thing I would say is, if this is you, if you're finding yourself just so oversold, I think we need to be guarded. We need to guard our hearts. We need to guard our thoughts in terms of what we really believe and listen to. And maybe even once in a while we need to turn off the television and turn off the commercials and all of the things, and stay away from the store for a little while. And especially on the Sabbath, there's a reason, that we're supposed to rest on the Sabbath, and not just rest our bodies, but rest our spirits and our minds. Don't let that stuff crowd out who God is in your own heart and in your own spirit. And the other thing I thought about is that in one way it's good that people are so marketed to, because we can spot a phony a mile away, because that's what we're used to it. We've honed that skill. And so if we're going to worship, we have to be authentic in our worship. If we're going to talk about how great our God is, we've got to believe it. We've got to live like it. And we've got to be so absorbed in it and authentic about how we talk about our God. The second verse of that says, "O tell of his might, O sing of his grace, whose robe is the light, whose canopy space. His chariots of wrath the deep thunderclouds form, and dark is his path on the wings of the storm. I love that visualization. But if we're going to tell of his might, if we're going to sing of his grace, my friends, we have to be real. We have to be authentic. And that sometimes means that in all that, we don't always be so bubbly and excited about it, although I believe we should celebrate. In the Psalms, it meant that sometimes when we sing to our God or sing about our God, it's a lament. You know, when David wrote some of those Psalms of lament, they were real. They were just real. God, have you forgotten me? My enemies are all around me. There's a time and place for that as well. So, as we come upon this Christmas season, guard your heart and let's be real about worshiping our King.
Worship the King, all glorious above, and gratefully sing